Julie.
Death, Sex, and Money is supported by OkCupid. There has never been a better time to online date. Did you know you are 50% more likely to get into a conversation on OkCupid now compared to before coronavirus? Seriously, try it right now. It's free and it works. Download OkCupid today and meet someone great without having to even leave your couch.
Death, Sex, and Money is supported by What's Missing, a new podcast from Case File Presents, the network launched by the massively popular podcast Case File True Crime. The podcast is hosted by Lauren O'Keefe, who founded Missing Persons Advocacy Network after her brother went missing. Each week, Lauren focuses on the stories of missing people and what it's like for the loved ones left behind. She discusses a different case every episode and conducts heartfelt, intimate interviews with family members of missing Australians. The first episode drops on July 31st, with episodes released every Tuesday thereafter. Subscribe to What's Missing wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Johanna Mayer, host of Science Diction from Science Friday and WNYC Studios. Over the next few weeks, we are all about food, how restaurants became restaurants.
The first restaurants were places you went not to eat.
And the linguistic tricks that make food sound delicious.
It has totally ruined my ability to look at names in the way that a normal person does.
Find Science Diction wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Death, Sex, and Money from WNYC. I'm Anna Sale.
And I'm Nick Vanderkolk, host of the podcast Love and Radio.
A listener named Angie told me she'd gotten used to not having a ton of physical touch while she was in a long-distance relationship. For 9 years, she and her partner Danny lived mostly apart. He in California, she in Iowa. But when she and Danny were in the same place,
we'd hold hands everywhere we went. We were, he'd have his arm around me a lot. We were just really close physically, and it just felt comfortable and it felt right.
And when you think about what it was like to be together long distance, in what ways would you feel close when you weren't physically together?
We talked a lot, texted a lot, just really being present in each other's lives. I was reading back through some of our texts and some of them look so boring. Like, I'm at the grocery store and I can't find this. What would you recommend? Just those kind of little things. But we kind of just got into a groove where it didn't feel like we were so far apart just because we were in communication a lot.
How did you learn that something had happened to him?
A friend of mine who works in the same healthcare system let me know. It ended up being a couple days after he passed away.
What do you understand about why he died?
Hi, everyone. I'm going to give everyone a minute to log in for those of us that are working on it. The rest of you, make sure that you have your video on. And we'll get started soon. Benny, I don't think we've met yet. Is this your first time logging in?
Yeah, I just got moved in today. I actually took this class in 8th grade, but I guess they're having me retake it because I
don't think so. I think we used to call this course Algebra 3-4. So there's Algebra, North Central used to call it Algebra 1-2, and then the second year was called 3-4.
All right, there's definitely a problem because I passed 3-4.
You did pass 3-4?
Yeah, I had to retake a semester, but I passed both semesters.
Okay, yeah, because this is currently what used to be the second semester of Algebra 2, also formerly known as Algebra 4.
Okay, yeah, I just needed my Algebra 1-2 credits transferred over. I don't know why they put me in 3-4.
Maybe they thought that you haven't taken it yet, but I'll look into your schedule and see. But I'd also talk to your guidance counselor if you think that you're in the wrong class.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem. All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And where is it? Buttons are hard. Okay, there we go. Here's your do now question for today. So 2 questions and 2 different ways to respond. First question, what is your current favorite song/artist? And I want you to type your answer for that in the chat box. And then the second question.
It's Lil Baby.
Type it into the chat box. The second question is, how do you factor a trinomial? And I realize that we haven't talked about math yet this semester, but this is a review from Algebra 1 and the first semester of Algebra 2, so I'm hoping that some of you might know the answer to that, and I'll call on someone to share out loud. But first question in the chat box, Branson, and second question, I'll call on you. So go ahead and take 2 minutes. Ooh, we already got a song in the chat. Ooh, Sublime and No Clue. Okay. Okay, awesome, Leona. Any others? We got 1 more minute. Make sure that you type in what you're listening to on the chat. All right, cool. Thanks, Branson. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Nancy. Ooh, Kehlani has a new album. I didn't know that. Interesting. Thanks, Venus. 20 more seconds, 20 more seconds. All right. Thank you all for sharing your favorite song / artist. My second question, how do you factor a trinomial? If you think you know the answer to that, go ahead and unmute yourself and I will have you share. How do you factor a trinomial? Anyone? How do you factor? Okay, that just means that today's notes are going to be extra exciting for you because we're going to talk about how to factor a trinomial. Before we get started on that good stuff, though, we're going to go ahead and do good things. So remember, good things, just share something good that's happening in your life right now. My good thing is that yesterday I got to go to my yoga class, and it was really relaxing, and it was just what I needed after a Monday. So that's what I'm excited about. That was my good thing. All right, today's good things are coming from Liana, Nancy, and Q. Let's start with Liana.
A good thing is maybe today I'm getting my nails done.
Ooh, what are you gonna get done? What color are you gonna get?
I don't know yet.
So you got some time to think about it though.
Yeah.
Cool. Nancy, what's your good thing?
For today,
Mhm.
it's my day off, so I get to catch up on some work.
Woohoo! Like schoolwork?
Yeah, I was absent 2 days because I was trying to get my schedule, balanced for school too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you get a little day to pause and recharge. Awesome. And then Q, what's your good thing?
Sleep.
Sleep? You got to sleep?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm
Okay.
tired. I'm really tired.
You're really tired. You're not used to waking up this early?
Nah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. I think that's my one pro of virtual schooling is that before when y'all were coming in person, I used to wake up at like 5:30, but now I get to wake up at 6:20. It's so exciting. No one else feels the same way. All right. Let's go on and get started with the notes for today. Go ahead and take those out. Does anyone need help finding notes on Canvas? Anyone need me to walk through how to find the notes on Canvas? No, we all found the notes? Okay, cool. Just as a reminder, I'm going to post the blank notes on Canvas the night before. Tomorrow's notes are already up there. You can print them out and fill them in as we go along, or you can fill them in on a blank piece of paper. It's really up to you. If you miss something as we go along, just pause and stop me, and I'll go a little bit slower. I'll also be posting the recorded lectures on Canvas afterwards. So if you need to pause or like go through it more slowly, then that will also be available to you. So let me go ahead and share my DotCam. Here are the notes for today. Again, does anyone need help finding those on Canvas? Good to go, G to G? All right, cool. Find the GCF. So today we're going to be talking about factoring. And factoring is going to come up over and over and over again throughout this semester. And it's something that you should have been introduced to in Algebra 1 and again in the first semester of Algebra 2. So none of this should be new information, but if it is, that's okay because we're going to spend some time going over it together. All right, so when you factor, the whole goal is to take a bigger expression and break it down into smaller pieces. That's what you're doing when you're factoring. You're taking a larger expression and you're breaking it down into smaller pieces. And there's a couple different strategies that you can use to factor. The first one is called finding the GCF. And GCF stands for greatest common factor. So you find the biggest number or variable that goes in to an expression. I can't remember. I think into should be one word. I'm not an English teacher for a reason. All right, find the biggest number or variable that goes into an expression. Find the biggest number or variable that goes into an expression. Karen, we're getting started on our notes, so get a blank piece of paper or your notes sheet. All right, so one type of factoring that you might see is factoring trinomial. So what is a trinomial? A trinomial is when you have three terms in an expression. So usually there's an x squared, there's an x, and there's a constant. That's what we call a trinomial. And whenever we have a trinomial, we use the magic x method. So the magic X, you're going to draw a big X. At the top of the X, you're going to multiply A times C, so the first term and the last term. You multiply that, and whatever number that is, it goes at the top. And then the bottom is your middle term, or your B value. Another thing that makes Magic X a little bit tricky is figuring out the signs, because depending on whether your numbers are positive or negative, it can change the sign of your factors. So here's a little graphic to make it easy for you. The easiest is when you have a positive on the top and a positive on the bottom. If you have a positive on the top and a positive on the bottom, both your factors are also going to be positive. If you have a positive on the top and a negative on the bottom, both of your factors are going to be negative. So you'll notice that whenever you have a plus sign at the top, the two factors have to be the same sign. So either plus plus or minus minus. If you have a negative on the top and a positive on the bottom, then you're going to have one positive factor and one negative factor. And then lastly, if you have a negative on top and a negative on the bottom, you're also going to have one positive factor and one negative factor. So anytime you have a negative on the top, you're going to have different signs. All right, so that's factoring trinomials. That's when you have three terms. The last type of factoring that you might, so when I asked you all in the do now today, how do you factor a trinomial? The answer is using the magic X, or the sum product. That's another name for it. So that's what I was looking for when I was asking you in the do now today, how do you factor a trinomial? All right, the second type is difference of squares. So let's say that you have two terms, so a squared minus b squared. You all see how that's only two terms versus 1, 2, 3 terms. Anytime you have two terms, there's a minus sign in between. There has to be a minus sign. That's what difference means. And you have to have two perfect squares. So a squared is a perfect square, b squared is a perfect square. Then when you factor it, it factors down to a plus b and a minus b. So you take the square root of a squared, which is a, the square root of b squared, which is b, and you should have 1 plus and 1 minus. All right, let's go ahead and go through some examples. So for number 1, we've got a squared plus 7a plus 10. So we're going to draw our magic X. You're going to multiply a times c. So you don't have a number in front of the a squared, so you can assume there's an imaginary 1 there. 1 times 10 gives you 10, so that goes at the top. The middle number 7 goes at the bottom. All right, so let's look at the signs of our top and bottom. So I have a positive and a positive, which means that I should be looking at this graphic right here. If you have a positive on the top and a positive on the bottom, that means that both of your factors are going to be positive. It's a lot to remember, but the other thing you want to remember is that you want to find two numbers that will multiply to give you 10. And based on that, since it's a positive 10, you want to look and see what numbers would add to give you 7. So if this number at the top is a positive, you want the factors to add to give you the bottom. If this number at the top is a negative, you want them to subtract to give you the bottom. So positive add, negative subtract. All right, so here are the numbers that will multiply to give you 10. You've got 1 times 10, and you've got 2 times 5. I'm going to go ahead and call on someone for this one. Which of these pairs is going to add to give us 7? Which of these pairs is going to add to give us 7? What do you think, Brenson? Branson, which of these pairs is going to add to give us 7? I can't hear you.
You said what?
Which of these pairs is going to add to give us 7?
5 and 2.
Perfect. It doesn't matter where you put them because they're both positive. If they were different signs, then you want the larger factor to match the sign at the bottom, but that's not a problem right now because they're both positive. Your last step is to draw out the parentheses. You're going to take the variable, in this case it's A, and it goes in the front, and then you're going to fill it in based on the side. So A plus 2 and A plus 5. Questions on number 1? All right, let's go to number 2. We've got b squared minus 12b plus 35. So you're going to count. You've got 1, 2, 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. Want to see if there's any GCF you can take out, but there's no number that goes into b squared minus 12b plus 35. You can't take out a b because the 35 doesn't have any variable, so you can go straight to the magic x. All right, I'm going to call on someone for this next question. How do I fill out the x? What goes at the top and what goes at the bottom? What number goes at the top of my x and what number goes at the bottom of my x? What do you think, Ethan?
12 and 35.
What goes at the top, sorry?
12.
Other one.
Negative 12.
Negative 12 is going to go on the bottom. The middle number always goes on the bottom. Which means that what goes at the top?
35.
Good. All right, from here, you want to look for which signs you're going to fill this in with. So if you have a top positive and a bottom negative, that means that both your factors are going to be negative. All right, so let's list out the factors of 35. And because 35 is positive, we want to add our factors to give us 12. So we've got 1 times 35 and 5 times 7. All right, from here, we're going to see which one of these adds to give us 12, because we're trying to get to 12. Which of those pairs is going to add to give us 12? Benny.
Five and 7.
Good, and it doesn't matter where you put them because they're both negative. The only time it does matter is if you have different signs, then the larger factor needs to match the sign of the bottom number. So this is going to be, go ahead and write out your parentheses. Put the variable first, so in this case it's b. And then we've got b minus 5 and b minus 7. All right, let's go to number 3. So we've got x squared minus 81. Look for a GCF first. There is no number that goes into x squared and into 81, so there is no GCF, and you can't take out an x because that 81 doesn't have an x. So the next thing you're going to do is count how many terms you have. So you only have 2 terms here, so you can't use the magic x. Your only other option is to use difference of squares. So 2 things need to be true in order to use difference of squares. You need to have a minus sign in between, which you do, and you need to have a perfect square. So a perfect square means that if you take the square root, it's going to equal a whole variable or a whole number. So if you take the square root of x squared, can someone unmute yourself? I'll take a volunteer for this one. What's the square root of x squared?
X.
X, perfect. Thank you, Ethan. And I'll take a volunteer for the second one as well. What's the square root of 81?
9.
9, perfect. So you know it's a perfect square because x and 9, those are both whole numbers / variables. If they gave you like a nasty decimal, then you know it's not a perfect square. So for difference of squares, you're going to do your parentheses. You're going to do the first term first, so x goes first. And that's the pattern. Questions on number 3? All right, the last one is number 4, 3x minus 9. First step, look for a GCF. So you're gonna see, is there a number or variable that goes into 3x and into 9? Is there a number or variable that goes into 3x and into 9? I'll call on someone for this one. Is there a number that goes into 3x and into 9? And if so, what is it? Venus.
Is it 3?
Yep. So you want to find the biggest number that goes into both, and the biggest number is 3. So you're going to take 3 outside of the parentheses, and then to figure out what's inside of the parentheses, you're going to do 3x divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. You have to leave the x there because it didn't get factored out. Minus 9 divided by 3 is also 3. So it's 3 parentheses x minus 3. Questions on number 4? All right, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and play our Kahoot today for factoring. Before we do that, however, I'm going to make sure that you all know how to find your assignment for today. Does anyone, before I change the screen? Okay. It would be helpful if you could all log into Canvas and make sure that you know how to find your homework for today. That way I can answer any questions if you have them before you leave. So everyone take a moment and open up their Canvas. All right, so this is what you should be seeing, your home page. If you click current lesson, and scroll down to August 4th where it says factoring review. Does everyone see where it says homework, factoring review? That's your homework link today, so go ahead and click that. It's gonna give you this, it looks kind of clunky. Go to the top where it says homework factoring review, that white lettering, and click it. That's gonna take you to the assignment page. Today's assignment is a worksheet. So the worksheet is right here in red, the copy of the factoring review, August 3rd loop. So go ahead and download that. And it's gonna pop up a worksheet that looks like this. You can print out this worksheet and fill out the problems on here, or you can do it all in a blank piece of paper. It doesn't matter to me. What does matter is how you submit it. So you're gonna go back to Canvas and you're gonna click Submit Assignment in the top right. And you're gonna upload a picture of your completed assignment. So whether you did it on the worksheet or whether you did it on a separate piece of paper, take a picture of it and then upload it and then submit it. Any questions about how to find tonight's homework? Anyone having issues finding it? All right, that's going to be due tomorrow by 11:59 p.m. So make sure you take your picture and upload it by 11:59 p.m. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the Kahoot login set up. So we'll get that started. All right, I'll give you all till 2:57 to log into Kahoot. All right, waiting on three more. Waiting on Branson, Venus, and Benny. Waiting on Branson and Benny. We lost you. You. All right, let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have a blank piece of paper, make sure you get out a blank piece of paper so that you can work on these problems because they're a little bit longer than normal. Factor x squared minus 5x minus 6. All right, our answers are all over the place for this one, so I'm going to go ahead and go over this one because it seems like we might need a little bit of help with it. So we had x squared minus 5x plus 6. Can we see that? My doc cam, let's see. All right, so you should see x squared minus 5x plus 6. And then because it's a trinomial, we're using the magic x. So 6 goes at the top. Wait, was it plus 6 or minus 6? I lied to you all. I think it was minus 6, the original problem. Yeah, it was minus 6. Okay. Cross that out. X squared minus 5x minus 6. And then we got to do the magic x. So negative 6 goes at the top, negative 5 goes at the bottom. If you look at your cheat sheet, if you have a negative on top and a negative on the bottom, you're going to have a positive and a negative factor. So let's list out the factors of 6. We've got 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Because this top factor is a negative, I need to subtract my factors to get 5. So 6 minus 1 gives me 5, so that's how I know that I have to use the pair 1 and 6. I can't use 2 and 3 because 3 minus 2 gives me 1, and I'm trying to get 5. So anytime your top number is a negative, you're going to subtract. Now you just have to figure out which one's going to be positive and which one's going to be a negative. The bigger factor has to match the sign on the bottom. So since the sign on the bottom is a negative, the 6 has to be a negative, the 1 has to be a positive. So it's going to be x plus 1 and x minus. Any questions about that one? All right, let's continue then with the Kahoot. X squared minus 7x plus 12. All right, so it's x minus 3 and x minus 4. Good job. All right, let's go to the next one. X squared plus 12x plus 27. All right, good job, everyone. All right, we got Q, Nancy, and Sandra in the lead. Awesome. X squared plus x minus 20. All right, x plus 5, x minus 4. So again, because your 20, since it's a negative number, you want different signs and you want to subtract the factors to get 1. All right, we got Sandra in second place, Nancy's down to third. X squared minus 22x plus 120. All right, again, because this is a positive 120, you want both of the signs to be the same. They both have to be negative because negative, you have a negative 22. X squared plus 13x plus 42. All right, we got x squared plus 13x plus 42, so you should have gotten x plus 6 and x plus 7. All right, we got Ethan creeping up to third place. Awesome. Everyone got this question right. X plus 6 and x minus 6. All right, no changes to our scoreboard. All right, this one's a little tricky. You want to factor out the greatest common factor. So the biggest number that goes into 12x and into 48, the biggest number is 12. So that's what you can factor out. All right, here we got number 9. Factor x squared minus 100. Good job. We're nailing these difference of squares problems. And here's your last question. It's a challenge problem. Factor out the GCF for 4x cubed minus 8x squared minus 16. Good job, y'all. All right, here are our winners. In third place, we have Ethan. Good job. In second place, we have Sandra. Good job. And in first place, we have Q. All right, don't forget your homework tonight is Canvas. We already walked through how to submit that. So that will be due tomorrow at 11:59. I'll hang around for a couple minutes if you have any questions, but if not, see you tomorrow. Have a great day.